Today I'll be going over a Puppy Linux configuration file, particularly in regard to jwmrc-personal file, which is when we open up a rocks, normally it'll be all hidden files will not be visible, but Control H will bring out dot files, hidden files, so you can see all the files. So particularly what we're going to concentrate is under .jwm folder and this personnel file. JWM stands for Joe's Window Manager. Joe's Window Manager is a integral part of Puppy Linux configuration. It not only controls the appearance of tray 1 here and tray 2, it also controls the menu system, which is F12. You bring out all the menu system here, and this system is mainly controlled by the file which is on a root level, .jwmrc. And the menus, so this is the menu system, so we can take a brief look at the jwmrc, and so this is the menu system, and when you here you can see all the menu system as so desktop settings, so we can go all the way up, and desktop, you can see that desktop settings, so it controls the menu system. And whenever you download and install an application, for example, the menu system obviously will change, and it may be recorded in the previous stage of jwmrc. So but today what we're going to concentrate is on jwmrc-personal, which is in jwmrc here, and this is the file. This file primarily controls the keyboard combination, which I use extensively. So this is the file here, exactly the same file, and you can see on a default setting that there isn't that much keyboard binding that's been assigned, for example. So let me just open up my own default keyboard setting from previous save folder that I have saved. So we can go ahead and go back to, let's see, 8, and so this is the save folder that I use on a daily basis, that has my own personal keyboard binding. And let's take a brief look at this save folder. And then here under root jwm, and we'll load this file here. So this is my own daily JWM whenever I use JWM, although I prefer BSPWM, but that's another story. So here when you look at my daily use keyboard binding, you'll see something like that. If I just simply enter F4, it closes whatever the application that's running. So if I so right now on a default setting is ALT F4, and let me just demonstrate. ALT F4 it closes it, okay? But on my preference is to go ahead and make it just rather than ALT F4, just simply F4. that creates another problem in us, because when you run a rocks filer, F4 sometimes is keyed to start a terminal, but that can be easily bypassed. But I don't think I want to get into that point at this time. But other things that if I enter super E, for example, so 4 refers to super key or window key, and E will trigger jwmrc.sh script, which I have, and then that will be that is under my application and bin, and jwmrc, this script gets triggered and it puts it into a certain virtual screen, and also does not allow more than a copy of Genie to run. So all these scripts have been assigned with keyboard binding to start. For example, Super and T will start URXVT terminal emulator, and similarly Super W will start Vivaldi, actually a browser, which is under browser.sh. So just to remember that this has mainly to do with keyboard binding, and I find it's much quicker than mouse use of a mouse. So other things of a quick note is the number of virtual desktops. For example, right now it refers to the pager, which is right now is 3, 1, 2, and 3. But if you just make it 2, which we can do that right here. Let's see. This is the personnel file I'm using right now. So let's just go ahead and make it to 2 here, and just for demonstration purposes, and we'll save it, and then we'll go ahead and URXVT, and then we'll say jwm restart, and then see here, now it's changed to a 6 virtual screen from 1, which only allowed 3 virtual screens. So despite what I just said about the close relationship of personnel personnel file to keyboard binding, it does have extra functions such as virtual desktops. I think that what I'll do at this time is just simply just copy everything, my own personal preference configuration file, into the default file jwmrc-personal. So we'll just get Control V. It's overwritten it now. When just save it, and then we'll go ahead and again URXVT, and then we'll go ahead and restart it again. Now all my keys should work. So for example, if I want to just simply start URXVT, Super T will start, and then I can enter F4 just to close it. So and also when you look at the personnel file that I'm using now, that there are super left and super right. For example, you'll move the whole window, so super left and super right. So I have it, super W will also make it full. So I know I've covered a lot of ground, and then I gave you minimum information about each of my window the script files that I use with key binding, and also the volume control and so on. But if there is interest, I think that what I can do is go ahead and put it up on the under description, so you can go ahead and copy. So for example here, control space, I mentioned that I don't use the menu system, which I think is very good, but it's predominantly mouse driven, and I just prefer to have a Rofi as a application launcher. So control space bar, control and space bar brings this Rofi system here, and then here I can go ahead and start typing whatever I need, and it just so F4 again, control. So this is just a quick overview of the importance of a jwmrc-personal file, and brief configuration. Now, one last thing that I want to mention is that when you make these changes on the file, as I just demonstrated, it's important not to overwrite your settings by using. So frequently there are many beginners, for example, will use desktop setting a graphic application, which is very good, but what it'll tend to do is when you make changes here, it will override your manual changes that you made using, for example, jwmrc-personal file and themes and so on. So once you understand the how the configuration is made in JWM in Puppy Linux, you'll get more confused if you blindly use the graphic configuration setting, because it will tend to overwrite the manual setting that you may have made, for example, setting up your own menu system. So it'll be a point of confusion if you use both this method here, graphic method, versus the manual editing of files that I just briefly went over. So if there's any more interest, I can go into more detail on the configuration. So I think that's we'll go ahead and stop there today. Thanks.